Folks, buckle up, because the Toronto Blue Jays are out here doing what they do best, shaking up the roster right as spring training is about to kick into full gear, and there is a lot to unpack today. We've got a fresh waiver claim that has some genuine upside attached to it, a gut-wrenching update from Anthony Santander himself about the injury saga that has been hanging over this franchise like a dark cloud, and some early buzz surrounding the newest Blue Jay, Kazuma Okamoto, who is already making John Schneider smile. This is one of those episodes where you do not want to click away, because every single story we're covering today has real implications for what this 2026 season is going to look like. So let's get into it. First things first, the Blue Jays have officially claimed infielder Ben Cowles off waivers from the Chicago Cubs. And to make room on the 40-man roster, Bowden Francis has been placed on the 60-day injured list. Now, before you scroll past thinking this is a boring depth move, just hear us out, because there's more to this story than meets the eye. Let's start with the bad news, because Bowden Francis being on the 60-day IL is not a small deal. This guy was being counted on to be a legitimate contributor to this rotation, and now he's going to miss the entire 2026 season after undergoing Tommy John surgery. We're talking about a pitcher who flashed serious potential in 2024, someone who looked like he was finally putting it all together, and now we're watching another year slip away due to injury. It's heartbreaking, it really is. Prayers up for Bowden. He'll collect his service time and his pay, but nobody wants to watch their career stall like this. Let's all hope 2027 is his real breakout moment. Now enter Ben Cowles, a 26-year-old infielder who has been bouncing around more than a pinball this winter. This guy started 2026 in the White Sox organization, got waived, was claimed by the Cubs in January, got DFA'd again when Chicago signed Shelby Miller, and now here he is in Toronto. 3 organizations in roughly 2 months. That is a wild ride. But here's why the Blue Jays were smart to snap him up. Cowles is a glove-first, speed-oriented utility infielder who can play second base, shortstop, and third base, which is exactly the kind of Swiss Army knife player that John Schneider loves to have in his back pocket. The man posted 18 stolen bases in just 20 attempts last season at AAA. 18 bags. The speed is very real. And in a Blue Jays lineup that loves to manufacture runs and put pressure on opposing defenses, that kind of threat off the bench or as a defensive replacement is genuinely valuable. Now let's be honest about the elephant in the room. The bat has been concerning. In 2025, Cowles slashed .235 with a 71 WRC plus at the AAA level, which means he was hitting about 29 points below league average even in the minors. His strikeout rate ballooned from 17.7% all the way up to 28.8%. And his walk rate dropped off a cliff. Those are not pretty numbers, and no one here is going to pretend otherwise. But here's the counterpoint. In 2024 at AA, this guy was absolutely mashing. He put up a 141 WRC plus and slashed .286, .372, .457. The talent is clearly in there somewhere. He was a former top 14 prospect in the Cubs system, according to Baseball America. The pedigree is real, even if the 2025 season was a significant step backward. The Blue Jays' infield depth situation coming into camp was legitimately thin. Sure, on paper you've got Kazuma Okamoto at third, Andres Jimenez up the middle, Addison Barger as a flex option, and Ernie Clement as the primary utility guy. But beyond that, you're getting into territory where you're asking outfielders to play infield just to survive. That is not ideal for a team with genuine World Series aspirations. With Leo Jimenez out of options and needing to make an impression this spring, adding Cowles gives the organization a legitimate optionable piece who can slide up and down between Toronto and AAA as needed without the roster complications that come with a guy who has no options left. It's smart roster construction, even if it's not the kind of signing that makes you jump out of your seat. And yes, the Blue Jays could have gone out and grabbed someone splashier, but trades are still absolutely on the table for this front office. And this feels more like a low-risk depth move to plug a hole while they continue evaluating their bigger options. Watch Ben Cowles in spring training. He could surprise people. He has the tools. Whether he puts it together is another question entirely. Now let's shift to the story that has honestly been weighing on Blue Jays fans all off-season. Anthony Santander and the truth behind his shoulder surgery. Because this is where things get genuinely difficult to stomach. Santander came out and spoke openly about his injury, saying, and we're paraphrasing here, that some things happen that are not in your control, and that he knows who he is and knows he's trying his best to be on the field with his teammates. There's a sense of frustration in those words, like a guy who knows some people out there were questioning his commitment or his toughness, and he wanted to set the record straight. And honestly, he deserves the benefit of the doubt here. This is a guy who desperately wants to be on the field. Here's the chilling part of the story, though. Santander revealed that the mid-season MRIs taken during the 2025 season did not show the labral tear. He and the Blue Jays medical staff looked at those results and decided to go the rehab route, which seemed reasonable at the time. But when Santander ramped up his hitting program this winter and started feeling uncomfortable again, they went back in for more imaging, and that's when the torn labrum finally showed up. So we're looking at a situation where the injury was either progressing without showing up on earlier scans, or the ramping up process itself made things worse. Either way, it explains why he keeps getting setbacks, and it makes the whole saga feel much less like a case of someone not trying hard enough, and much more like a genuinely brutal run of bad luck. The truly scary part? Santander himself has already opened the door to the possibility of missing the entire 2026 season. He said he hopes the Blue Jays are winning while he recovers, which would give him time to take things slowly and build his strength back the right way. That is a very measured, very responsible take from a player who clearly understands the stakes. But reading between the lines, a guy who is openly talking about wanting extra time to build strength is not a guy who expects to be back in April or May. The most optimistic projections have him returning somewhere around 5 to 6 months post-surgery. Do the math, and that might get you to August at the earliest, if everything goes perfectly. And here's where the contract conversation becomes unavoidable. Santander signed a massive deal with this organization, and right now that contract has been a disaster from a return on investment standpoint. You can empathize with the player completely and still acknowledge that the Blue Jays are paying an enormous sum for a player who has barely been on the field. The organization is going to need Jesus Sanchez, Miles Straw, Nathan Lukes, and George Springer to collectively fill that void in the outfield while they wait for Santander to get healthy. It's a lot to ask. And yet, if Santander comes back healthy and fully unleashes that monster power swing in the back half of the season, all of this pain might feel worth it. That's what Blue Jays fans have to hold on to. Speaking of things that are actually exciting, let's end on a high note, because Kazuma Okamoto is already making waves in Dunedin, and John Schneider is loving what he sees. Schneider described Okamoto's work ethic as very serious and somewhat manly, which is a callback to the big Japanese slugger's own self-description that had everyone cracking up. The guy apparently hit a home run in a workout session that Dalton Varsho was casually claiming didn't go far enough to be a home run, which tells you exactly the kind of raw power we're dealing with. Okamoto can mash. The question is whether he can replicate the elite production of a guy like Matt Chapman at third base for this roster, and the honest answer is probably not 1-for-1. But if Okamoto gives you above-average defense and 30-plus homer production, while other pieces around him contribute, this team is absolutely built to make another deep run. The Blue Jays are a fascinating team to watch right now. They're dealing with real adversity. Francis gone for the year, Santander's availability a massive question mark, roster decisions looming at every turn, and yet the core of this roster is genuinely loaded. Dylan Cease is anchoring a rotation. Okamoto is generating buzz before the first exhibition game. The outfield depth is real even without Santander. And a team that went to the World Series last year is not suddenly going to forget how to win. There is a lot of baseball left to be played, and this franchise is absolutely worth watching every single step of the way. If you want to stay locked in on everything Blue Jays, the moves, the drama, the spring training battles, the big roster decisions, then you know exactly what to do. Hit that like button, drop your thoughts in the comments below because we want to hear from you. Do you think the Jays handled the Santander situation properly? Are you buying into Ben Cowles? And how excited are you about Okamoto? Let us know everything. And if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? Smash that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a single update. We will see you in the next one.
Hey everyone, I'm working to hit 1,000 subscribers and I need your help to get there. If you enjoy this content, please hit that subscribe button right now.